We are good. Are we good? Let's double check. Let me see. Let me see. Yep. Yep. Give me 1 second. We still got it, which is quite interesting. I don't know how we're really gonna fix this thing, but alrighty. Let's kick this show off the road for now. Well, I'm a minute early, so let me wait for the stragglers to start straggling in, if they're even gonna straggle in today. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? New week, new day. Hope y'all all stay safe over the holidays and enjoyed yourself. Of course, celebrated America for a little bit. Hopefully, nobody in your family or friends, at least, no one chopped off their hand. I think it was one person. It happens like every single year, unfortunately. Someone gets their hand with the fireworks, get got. But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. All right, let's go ahead and kick things off. Whoever is here is here. Whoever isn't, I guess you'll have to see it on the replay. But as you guys all saw, yes, home sales are down, which is not a terrible thing for you as a buyer. If you're a seller, yes, this is terrible news. You don't want to hear this at all. But it is what it is, right? You got home prices that are still up in certain areas, right? But I would say nationally speaking, and again, I think I should clarify that. I'm going to be speaking a lot on a national scale today. So a lot of what I'm going to say is probably not going to be prevalent in your market, depending on where you're at. But home prices are still high. We have mortgage rates literally hovering around 7%. And honestly, we don't know what's going to happen there, but we shall see. And then, of course, as I mentioned, home sales are slowing down. And so you may be wondering why this is all matter to you, because as a buyer, this is good news, right? And it's all going to be depending on your market. But this could be everything that you've been waiting for, at least the people I've been speaking to. Everyone I speak to, they're like, yeah, price is too high. I'm not going to do anything. And because of that, I'm going to sit the sidelines and wait. But when prices are still elevated as what they are, and then, of course, no one's really buying, and then sellers are actually listing their home, what happens is literally prices should come down. Have they been doing that? Yeah, that's another conversation for another day. But I'm going to be talking about all this. I'm going to be talking about the slowdown specifically, and I'm more or less going to pay a little bit more attention throughout this entire stream on how is it that you as a buyer can take advantage of the entire situation that's going on now. Because this isn't good for sellers, but this is a beautiful market for buyers. Maybe the price isn't what you want, but you can force the price to where you want it to be. And let's not forget that. But we'll talk about that. Like, again, buyers being frozen, which means less buyers, especially less corporate buyers. That's one of the best things you can have in this market right now as a buyer, especially as a first-time home buyer, where you have not as many competitive individuals trying to buy the same home or looking at the same home that you're looking at. Therefore, you don't have to go over. They're not knocking you out the market because you don't have that big, deep pockets like these other individuals do. But this market here is going to give you some sort of negotiating power at the end of the day, as I've already mentioned. And something I will say, this is a market where just slow it down. Take it easy. Not cruise through it, but be active in it. But you don't have to rush to any sort of decision. But I should say, in some markets, it's probably not going to be like that. But let me know what market that you're in, and therefore I can clarify that a little bit more. Because we will be talking about market data as well, as I mentioned, talking about strategies that you can go ahead and implement today or tomorrow. And then even, the different type of loan products that are out there and how you can take advantage of it and what you should be looking at doing if you are going to be using any one of those loan products. If you're using cash, man, big ups to you. You better negotiate heavily. But I definitely want you guys to all stick around towards the end because I want to show you how literally buyers in the Raleigh market are getting like 10K worth in concessions. So stick around to see that. But first things first, I want to show this to you guys because this is important news here. So I can go ahead and zoom in the screen. I'm not going to read the article. I just really want you to look at the headline because this here is extremely important. Maybe we can go check out the 3 things to know, but this year, Zillow's now enforcing its listing ban. If you didn't check out the video I did based on this, which is pretty much stating Zillow is now going to be suppressing some of your listings, or at least the listings that you're going to be seeing online. And that's horrible because in this market as is, where your home may not be on Zillow now, right? Or at least the home that you're looking for may not be on Zillow, which means you're going to have to go an extra mile to find that home, which may not be good, right? Because would you know where to go, right? Is it going to, if it doesn't show up on Zillow, it's not going to show up on Redfin, because I believe Redfin is behind all of this stuff as well. So that's not going to be a good news to you, I will say. Like I said, I did a video on this entirely, breaking this down, kind of doing a deep dive on it. Man, what's the name of the video? That's the better question. Let me see if I can figure it out right now for you. Because I would definitely say watch that, especially if you're in the market right now for a home. That right there could be what you really need to know on how to navigate this market. So it's literally say bye-bye to your perfect home. That's the video. Go tap into it if you haven't already, or you're not up to date with what Zillow is doing to the listings now. It is, especially, this is going to get real bad if real estate agents don't know about this. Because if they don't know about it, then naturally speaking, they're not even representing their sellers properly. But I won't even get into that because that's none of my business. What's happening? You don't know. But let's go ahead and go into the 3 things to know, which I don't know exactly what they're going to state here because I kind of just broke it down. So as I mentioned, Zillow is going to ban listings, not all homes. So it's like a specific guidelines that they have to follow. And if you are a seller trying to sell and buy in this market at this point in time, you definitely want to know and need to know what that real estate agent is going to do, just so they don't suppress. Like something as simple as if you don't post it on Zillow or the MLS first, something as simple as if you don't post it on the MLS first, if I'm remembering this correctly, if you don't post on the MLS, but like let's just say I did a video for my Instagram, which I don't know how they're going to really follow this, but let's just say I did a video for my Instagram and showed it to that audience before literally sharing it to the public and putting it on the MLS, they're going to suppress that. That I don't know how they're going to keep track of, because it's like how you're going to follow all these different agents that have all these different Instagram accounts. But that's one of the things that I do know that they mention. Here, this is just Compass is going back and forth with them, which, they can do that all day and all night long. That's really not anything for you to be worried about. But they said 3 of them. So where's the 3rd one? Let me see if I could pick it up real quick. Yeah, I don't see it. So the big thing is just make sure that if you want your home to be sold on the private market, meaning not on MLS, that it stays like that for the long duration. Because honestly, right now, if you go to the private market and try to sell it there and try to go public, your listing 9 times out of 10 is based off of what Zillow is doing is going to be suppressed, which is quite unfortunate. But it is what it is. This is exactly what's happening. Now you know, and you should know how to prepare yourself for anything like that. But if you're a buyer, you're now going to have to expand your resources and try to really find your home outside of just Zillow, because If it's not there, then what are you really gonna do? Seriously speaking. However, this is a question that I got that I do want to address immediately because it's a really good question and it falls in line with what we're going to talk about anyways, which is, are homes still selling above asking or are sellers finally starting to budge? Let's go ahead and unpack that right now. Didn't want to do that. So here, if you are not using Redfin's data, especially because it's free, and this is exactly what a lot of people have access to, then shame on you. So this here, let me zoom in for you. You are legitimately able to see, and you can even do this per your market if I'm not mistaken. This is for single family townhomes and condos, right? We'll do it for all, and then I'll show you what single family and townhomes look like. Not so much condos because, yeah, go watch a previous video. I don't really vouch for condos. It's like I have a weird take on them. It's like you're owning the box that you're living in and not the land. And, in real estate, you should be wanting to own the land at the same time. So that's why I'm not a big fan of it, but your life, do what you got to do. However, are homes selling above asking price? Well, this here is going to pretty much tell you how much homes are selling above asking price. All right, so 31% of homes on the market in the United States is selling above asking price. Now, this is probably different in Florida, probably different in Texas, probably different in Ohio, Tennessee, California, maybe in some parts. I'm not sure, probably not entirely. So this is just looking at things on a broad scale. If you're wanting to know about what's going on in your market, I highly recommend just leave a comment of your market that you're in. And that way I can go ahead and do a little bit of a deeper dive in there. And even if you're on the replay, tap in, let me know. Let me know what's really happening, so I can shut you out next time. But this is essentially 31% of homes are still selling above list price, meaning whatever the seller listed for is selling above it. And even this here, so this 99.4% is sharing with you how many sellers are getting either close to 100 or 100%. So, I mean, this pretty much states they're getting 100%. And then if we go ahead and take a look to see, are they getting, well, we can go ahead and dive into price cuts, but we'll touch upon this even a little bit later too. So we could see here, about 20% of homes that are on the market are getting a price cut. How significant? This doesn't tell you how large of a price cut it's getting. So that's the only thing to be wary of, right? But just know 20% of homes are getting it, so that is what you can live with. But let's go ahead and see what single family homes got. So 32%. I don't think this 21% didn't. This one didn't really drop. Yeah. Well, no. Okay, it did. And then we can see what townhomes look like. Okay, so you can see townhomes are getting a lot, not a lot less. They're there. They're not. Yeah. It seems like the single family and townhomes, they're still getting price cuts. And of course, they're still selling above list, which I hope some of you are not in the audience. Like, what in the heck? How are people still overbidding? Or not even overbidding, but yeah, I mean, essentially that's overbidding on the list, on the home. People got money, man. People got money. You'll be very, very, very surprised. And even based off of, this is something that I read. So based off of Toll Brothers, they just had their earnings report. Let me go ISO mode. Toll Brothers, they just had their earnings report. And in their earnings report, their Toll Brothers CEO, if I'm not mistaken, it was him. He mentioned Boston and what's the other market? Northern Virginia. Those were the really two competitive markets that he was mentioning, where because land is so scarce, that they're able to they're able to sell home, build homes and sell it like it's hotcakes, right? And I'm sure because they're doing that on new construction, I'm sure the existing resale market is the exact same where, of course, if there's no inventory, if land is scarce, then people are going to pay for whatever. Maybe it's the people that have to go back into the office or people just wanting to buy those homes, whatever the case may be. But I know those are two markets right there that are really dealing with this overbidding. Maybe that's literally those those numbers why it's so high. It's coming from those two markets specifically, which I highly doubt it's only those two. But understand how, if depending on your market, of course, understand what's going on, but also what's the strategy of the builder. Because Toll Brothers, right, they mentioned in Boston and Northern Virginia that their homes are selling, so they don't really have to do any incentives. But in markets like here in Raleigh, they're offering you incentives, right? They have a different strategy, which I know DR Horton, Lennar, KB Homes is not doing much incentives. In fact, let's talk about that, right? So KB Homes, they they said something else. It's like, why would you not kind of follow suit? And they gave a good valid reason, which I mean, you can either like it or not. So they're essentially saying they're increasing their prices rather than giving incentives because their incentives they feel as if a lot of other builders, what they're doing is they're keeping their prices elevated because they're offering incentives. So just understand what's really going on in your market because that will really help you truly indeed understand how to navigate the entire situation. And I got a pretty picture that I want to show you to help you really understand what markets may be in the buyer's market or have a little bit more inventory than others. Just give me a second, let this thing load. I'll go full screen for you. Cool. So you guys can see, so anything that's in like that brownish color, those are markets that are probably in a buyer's market. And shout out to Resi Club for providing this data for us. But this is essentially going to let you know where inventory is essentially. And if inventory is scarce, then just know that. And if inventory is scarce and there's buyers that want to buy, then yeah, 9 times out of 10, you guys are all overbidding. So we have some places that I see off the top that I'm looking at that are at least highlighted is Hartford, Virginia Beach, Chicago, Cleveland, Rochester, New York. Yeah, so we can kind of see like it's really just up here. I want to say this is like the major cold areas. People are really moving to these areas, like moving back, even after the Florida boom. Yeah, Florida's getting smoked right now. As in, like, these big numbers is not good at all. These big numbers essentially are stating, I mean, these big numbers, these big circles are essentially stating that there's too much inventory in comparison to 2019. So if we go ahead and take a look, right? So from May of 2019, so pre-COVID to now. Yeah, I'm turning this off because I don't know why. Give me 1 second. My bad, my bad. Let me know if you guys have any questions about anything that I'm talking about right now, though. Just leave them in the comments. We'll touch bases on them. But these are some of the markets that are going through it. But what I will do now is share with you what you saw in my thumbnail. It's blackout. I'm still here. Don't worry. There we go. So here's existing sales. So this is a lot of what we're going to talk about today. So welcome everyone, everybody. Not every Wednesday, but if there is pressing information I need to share, probably it'll be every Wednesday. But Wednesdays, you just tap into this channel. I'll post the stream, let you know if I'll be doing it or not, so you guys can be able to see it. But let me know where you guys are from. Let me know where you guys are tapping in from. Let me know what markets you're trying to buy in. That way I can give you a little bit more in detailed of information about that market specifically. Maybe even share with you some. Found this new tool. I'm still testing it out to see how it works, but let me know what market you're in. That way, I could maybe even possibly tell you where there's a seller, a motivated seller at. There's a pretty cool tool that I'm testing and looking at. I found a few of them in Raleigh, which I was like, okay, well, it's kind of telltale sign. This would be good for you this would be good for you as a public too, especially if you don't have data, the information, the data for the MLS. Then you can easily find where the motivated sellers are to be able to catch on those deals. But let's go ahead and talk about this here. This is essentially sharing with you, and I'll zoom in, existing home sales. So for the longest, it's typically, they say anything above 4 million is like a balance or normal market above it. But as you guys can see, for the past couple of years, two years, honestly, we've been hovering around that 4 million, and sales have been really low because of everything that's going on, right? There's not one thing I can pinpoint it on. In fact, if you guys have a reason as far as why you're sitting on the sideline, how about you let me know, and everybody else can know why sales are down so much. But here, for the past couple of years, even pre-COVID, this is, as you guys can see, this is pre-COVID, right? And then COVID hit, everybody wanted to buy, everybody named mama wanted to buy. And now we're at this point here where no one really wants to buy. And it's much lower than what it previously was, which is not really good for the market in general. But maybe you don't care, maybe you do. But I will go ahead and tackle this article here because as you guys saw the chart, right, and now you can see the headline on this article, right? Home sales just posted their slowest May in 16 years, which 16 years was literally just before, we're talking 2009, right? Just while the market was going crazy. And so we're still going to see sales, right? This is not stating that sales are not happening because, I mean, I'm still selling. I know plenty of other people who are still selling. It's just not happening at the magnitude that probably a lot of individuals expected or even what happened in the past. So that's why you could say that sales are down. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Sales being down, especially if you are ready, able, and willing of a buyer, whew! I'm sorry if that just did too much for you, but if you are one of them, I don't know if you was here. Yeah. It's time to get ready. Get locked and loaded. Simply because if you're ready, you can then take advantage of this entire market, right? You can set your own price. You can get your own concessions. You can get your own rate. You don't have to worry about, what everybody else is doing. You got to just this is your opportunity to get yourself right. That's essentially what I'm saying here. All right, you can go through this article entirely. Personally, I'm not because, the headline said it in itself, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Yes, buyers are frozen. Whoop-dee. There's plenty of reason why there's less buyers. I will say, as I mentioned earlier, right, corporate buyers are a little bit less in this market, which that's good for you. Really good. In fact, you can take a look at this right here. It shows you how many institutional buyers, or at least institutionals, now they're sellers, right? Now they're pretty much from buyers from sellers, but I should say corporate investors that were buying and now they're pretty much selling, right? They're selling more than they bought, or just about. At least Invitation Homes is. But Invitation Home is they're a big beast in the market. They have a lot of single family homes. What's another one? Amherst? I've never heard of them. Tricon Residential. There's another one that I know that's a big one that's missing here, but this is good news because if they're selling, it's not good news for sellers, but none of this is good news for sellers. But again, most of my content isn't for sellers, so unfortunately, I'm sorry, but you guys will be just fine. A-okay. You guys got a lot of equity to sit on. But seeing this here, I'm going to tell you a nice secret. Clip this up, record this piece. I don't know, do whatever you have to do. Share this with people who are actively in the market. But you see this here, right? We see the corporate investors are now selling, and we know they have money, right? So, which means if you see a corporate investor home and it's listed at, let's just say, give or take 400,000, do me a favor, or at least do it for yourself. Don't bid the asking price. Don't do it. Just and definitely don't go over, because we know they have deep pockets, right? So they wanted to play a nice game in 2020 for with everybody that was actually trying to purchase a home for themselves rather than purchase a home to rent it out, or maybe be a small mom and pop shop and having their own business to keep themselves afloat. So they wanted to do that. Now look at them. Their hands are. We caught them red-handed. Well, I don't think we caught them. The market caught them red-handed, to a point where now they're selling there. So take advantage of this. This right here is really what I would take advantage of, right? Just and this is why I'm leaving it up here a little bit longer. It's because I really want you guys to see the names of the corporate institutional. They may not like me for saying this, but hey, you're playing the game, right? You're playing the capitalism game. You gotta walk and talk it. But I'm telling you, just keep it quiet though. Don't tell everybody. Especially don't say it came from me. Because then if you tell them it came from me, then hey, they may suppress everything, and now I don't have content that I can share with you guys, and it'll be harder to reach you guys. Which, in fact, if you guys are liking what I'm sharing with you already, go ahead and hit that like button. It does really help get the word out, get the voices out to those individuals that are buyers that really need help in this market. Because, woo, we are in a tough market where you really got to shake and bake and make things happen to your advantage. If you do have any questions about what's going on in the market, we're going through it entirely. If you have specific questions, scenarios, or anything that you want, further I don't know why I can't speak right now. Explanation on, then just leave it in the comments. But existing home sales retreat, but prices are, as I mentioned, prices are still up. So that's the unfortunate battle with all this. It's like it's a weird phenomenon that's going on. You have home sales down, which should suppress prices as well, but it's not, at least overall. In fact, you probably guys don't even believe me. So let me go ahead and do this. You guys probably think I'm all cap, thinking prices are still up because I'm a real estate agent. Look, guys, you guys are going to buy a home or not, regardless. Whatever you do is what you do. If you want to buy a home properly and not get taken advantage of, this is why you're here. But if you want to go out there and go do whatever you got to do and get taken advantage of, then peace. Let me do this. I'm just trying to get this both for you. Alrighty. So this is sales prices over the past couple of years. Where's 25? The green line is 25. All right, 2025. And as you can see, it's the highest it's ever been in comparison to every single year prior to, which I'm sorry, you probably didn't want to hear that news, but that's what's happening, right? This is real life. I mean, I can't sugarcoat this. So this is why I say prices are still elevated. When you see these news articles saying prices are still up, you're probably wondering how in the heck is it? Yeah, that's a question for everybody. And I personally don't have the answer, right? The only thing I can say is there's just not a lot of buyers, so sellers are probably just gonna. And actually, if you're a seller watching this right now, let me know. Are you holding? Because I know I've read a lot of comments of a lot of individuals that are saying, yeah, I'm holding on. Everyone is like, you know how, like, I don't know if you guys are big in the investment world, but you know how a lot of people will be like, I'm holding, and they spelled hold, HODL, right? I've seen a lot of people say that. A lot of sellers just have a really good interest rate, and I think that's what's holding people from even wanting to sell, even though they probably want to or should. or they just like, nah, I'm good where I'm at. So I think that's a big reason why prices are still so elevated so much is because that inventory hasn't really hasn't really came into the market in itself. So you don't have to believe me when I say prices are still up. I mean, you're probably just thinking, yeah, you're a real estate agent. Yeah, I am, but I'm just gonna show you the data, honestly. And in fact, let's take it a step further. So here's the asking prices. So this is what homes are selling, right? So some of the buyers that are buying, they're really not helping the situation. But if we look here, this is what homes that are newly listed, right? What they're getting listed for on the market. And again, if you really look, higher than every other year. And as of June of 25, it's this is a median, right? The median asking price is 415. Woo. Y'all feeling that? How y'all feel about that? Does this piss you off? Honestly, let me know. Because if it does, this is exactly why I need you to stay to the tours when I talk about the buyer strategy. You're gonna enjoy that, I promise. But you have to tap in until then. Because I got another one, right? So I'm gonna show you where pending sales are, right? Right. And so this is a big piece and a big reason as far as why we see prices. I personally think this is why we see prices so elevated so much. No, I didn't want to do that just quite yet. Right, because if you still have buyers that are willing to pay that, I think the median we saw was 415,000, right? You still have buyers that are still doing it, just not at a fast pace or at a high scale that many individuals are typically used to or doing. Then it just slows prices down, right? Whether it actually suppresses it or whether it just keeps it stagnant. And I think that's exactly what we're experiencing right now, right? A very, very stagnant market. But sales, as you guys can see, it's literally been in the same alignment as the past couple of years, which if I go back to that chart, it will make sense. If I show you this, it will make sense. So this thing here. So you guys can see, right? So since 23, right, sales for existing market. Now this is again existing. So resale market, this is only what this is covering. I can touch the new construction market, which I guess I'll go ahead and do that. But as you guys can see, right, it's pretty much all in the same alignment, which it matches up with. Come on. It matches up with this, which is good. Right, and so new listings. If this number continues to rise, this is good for you as a buyer. That's all I'll say here, because this is essentially stating inventory. Yep, and so here's the listing count. So as I just showed you, I should have showed you new listings, right? Yeah, I believe so. My bad. But this is essentially showing you the active listing. So if this number continues to rise, then you guys would be Gucci. Let's Gucci. And here's the median days on market. So I'm showing you this all to really give you an understanding and so that when we talk about the strategy, this will all make sense, right? This is where it's all going to come together. So if none of this is making sense right now, just let me know. Leave a comment like, yo, I need you to clarify X, Y, and Z. Please do that so that we can go ahead and get that and you can get that established and get the clarification done so you know exactly how to navigate this market. But here In 37 days, homes are pretty much coming off the market from when they're being listed. And so homes are staying on the market longer than they previously had in the past couple of years, which I think is natural, right? Especially given that most, there's not that many buyers. So if people are selling, right, you get more choices as a buyer, and not every home is going to get picked. So homes are naturally going to stay on the market a little bit longer. Cool. So let's go ahead and, as I've mentioned already, right? A lot of a lot of why I'm sharing all that data is just to show you the importance and show you we could then talk about the strategy, but all of this is important because this is a lot of what you're gonna see now is crash, crash, crash. I probably can't even shouldn't be saying that word right now because I mean YouTube really doesn't like it, but you're gonna see a lot of that information, right? Just negative clickbait, all of it, right? Is this really a crash based off of what I just showed you? And I said it again. Is it really? No, not necessarily, because in order for that to happen, it has to be like more of like a 20% decline in prices. And as we were able to really just see now, prices are really not going down, right? At least looking at things nationally. You go to markets like, here, I'll pull this up once more. You go to markets like your Floridas, your Texas, where there's a lot of inventory, that's a different conversation that we can have. All right. If we talk about these markets right here, right, their prices are probably 9 times out of 10 coming down, right? But up here, no, they're probably bidding wars up here going on, right? Same thing here, right? Prices coming down here, prices coming down here. Any dark or big circle dark green circle that you see, those chances are there's a big, like even Tennessee, which is shocking because Tennessee is surrounded by the Sun Belt, which I did not expect that to occur there. That this is the most I would love to understand if who is building there, and if so, what the heck is going on there in Nashville, or at least I think this big circle here is referring to Nashville, if my geography is right. But the reason why this is so important is because it's not that much of the C word. It's more of a correction, in fact, right? That's essentially what we're experiencing. And so, in your market, if you're waiting for prices to come down 50%, you might be waiting a little bit longer. Sorry to burst your bubble, but that's the reality of where we're at right now. So, you might want to shift your timeline in terms of when you want to purchase, or even your mindset in terms of how you're going to purchase. I'll give you a way of how you can go about navigating this, but again, it's up to you. It's not up to me. So, I mean, I can honestly say just a couple of weeks ago, I was able to get a client of mine 10,000 worth of concessions. Right? This is what's happening here in Raleigh market. Right? So if you want that, right? I'm talking closing costs paid for. So the only thing that they really have to worry about in this case is down payment, inspection, any other things that they want to do during their due diligence. What else? If they want to buy down the rate, they can even do that. But closing costs is already paid for. In fact, they have a little bit more than closing costs, so they're not going to walk out with a check. That's for sure not going to happen. But they can probably take some of that and apply it to their rate for whatever it is that they want to do, right? So this is why this is a beautiful market, because if you really want to be strategic, I actually know someone, he's an agent as well, where he literally, if you have a VA loan, you could do this. Maybe USDA loan as well, you could do it, where he legit strategizes and helps individuals buy homes and get paid at the closing table, which insane, insane. To be able to do that, you were definitely not doing that in markets 2, 3 years ago, where everybody was bidding and everybody was fighting over properties in itself. So if you want to get paid at closing, I mean, all you gotta do is reach out to me and I connect you to that individual. However, that's something that you really can do. Or what you can do is, if you just want to navigate it on your own, you just find a motivated seller. and be able to negotiate those concessions. And those concessions can be, they can even be repairers, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to go down towards the mortgage in itself. It can be for repairs as well. But as you guys know, I'm here to help you and connect you to a real estate agent that's going to help you and navigate that water for you in the real estate world. So if you want to be connected with the real estate agent of that nature, then you should see let me actually check. I don't know if it's there. Yeah, you should be able to. So just go to my website. You'll see if you need a realtor or a real estate agent in your specific area that's going to help you, then just go into the description, click the link, do all that good stuff. Also, while you're at it, hit the like button if you're enjoying this, if you're finding this valuable. If you're not finding it valuable, let me know. Please give me criticize me real quick. I'll give you every right to do that. That way we can bring you better information and help you guys exactly where you're at, because I'm going through this on a regular basis, and I really want to be able to help you guys go ahead and navigate these waters. As difficult as it may be, it's really not that difficult. It's actually quite fun sometimes, especially now. I'm having a blast. Because again, it's like buyers are now, especially the buyers that at least I work with, maybe they're a little bit more grateful and thankful. Where yeah, they may not be happy about the prices and stuff, but not to be able to put some of that money away and just focus it on the mortgage, or even double up on the mortgage in itself and pay down that home a little bit sooner, shave off a few years off of interest because you got closing costs paid for. I mean, closing costs is easily going to run you. It depends on the price point, but at least the person I was working with is easily 10K. And I know their mortgage is literally, if now they have 10,000 worth of dollars that they can now apply towards just their mortgage and will literally suppress that mortgage sooner than a lot of individuals probably are able to do. But I did mention I was going to talk strategy. Are y'all ready? Let me know if y'all ready in the chat. Let me know if y'all ready on the replay. Just let me know. Because what should you be doing right now? First things first. If you're in a market where you're having a ton of inventory, you need to find those motivated sellers. I'm talking about those sellers that have been on the market for more than 30 days. That's an easy way to find a motivated seller. Not just because they're on the market for 30 days it's not going to 110% guarantee that they're motivated, right? They could literally be just testing the market and see what they're at and not be in a rush, right? But chances are, if they really are and their home has been on the market for more than 30 days, they already did a price cut, you may have found a motivated seller. And here's where you can probably find some of them, right? So this is some of the markets where prices are on the rise, or prices are on the rise, where price cuts and price reductions are on the rise. Again, this is really going to be all in alignment with what you saw when inventory, where you saw those big circles and they were green, the dark green circles, right? That's where you'll go ahead and see that. Oh, look at that. North Carolina got 21% of listings that are getting a price reduction. All right, so not only are you getting a price reduction, but you're also able to possibly even get concessions. So you're able to essentially screw over a seller 2 times. But where's the buyer's market? So you guys can see there where exactly those price reductions are happening. So again, this is going to fall right in alignment with what we saw. So if you guys remember that old other picture, right? All this up here was brown. This is all up here is buyer's market. If you're in this market, oh wow, even Cali. I guess Cali because of inventory. Well, Cali is mild. It's not really like red like this. Anything that you see is red is bad. as a buyer, as a seller, you're all right. But this is what this is essentially stating. So if you're in these markets, your strategy has to be a lot differently, especially if you need or you have to buy a home in this market specifically. Just be cautious. Don't overbid. Make sure you're doing your CMAs or somebody's doing the CMA for you, because that way you won't get screwed by appraisal issues. And that's the interesting part. Actually, let me talk about that real quick before I go ahead and show this, because the interesting part about The interesting part about the prices coming down in certain markets is appraisals. So if you go ahead and overbid on a property because, heck, let's just say you wanted to, or there was actually, multiple individuals bidding on that property, but you're in a neighborhood where prices are declining, chances are you'll have a you may have if it's bidding, it depends on the appraisal, and that's the tough part, right? If the listing agent was able to prove that it was a bidding war, then chances are you'll be all right. But if you're just submitting an offer over list price for whatever apparent reason, just because, and you're in a neighborhood or in a zip code or an area that is having declined prices, like maybe Florida, you may have an appraisal issue at the end of the day, and that's gonna require you to cough up a little bit extra money out your own pocket, which you're working the opposite direction at this point. You're going backwards now. So don't catch yourself doing that. Let's go back to this here though. This is essentially sharing with you when has there ever been a buyer's market, and we haven't seen one in a very long time. I think I would assume the last buyer's market was around 2008, that era. Everything has been in a neutral market ever since. So, how does that make y'all all feel? Knowing that we're not in a buyer's market, does that change your thoughts on this entire market in itself? Does that change the fact that you may not even try to consider buying a home anymore? Does it change the fact that you're probably not listening to anything I'm saying? You're just going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to continue to sit the sideline, or screw Ronnie saying. You let me know. Because although this is like a very neutral market, a lot of sellers still do have a different type of expectations on what they want. And so if that's the case, right, they're probably cutting their prices. They're probably offering concessions, which I'm clearly stating to you over and over again. Go get your concessions. Although home prices, and you'll probably see all this clickbait, you'll see all these harsh headlines about the real estate market. Don't let that scare you. If you let it scare you, I personally cannot help you, because I'm sharing you information that literally should not let it scare you. Because if you did not know, if you did not know, most people make their money in real estate not when they sell, but when they buy. That's a hot take for you. So if you buy properly, you'll be protected if there is a downturn, because you'll have equity. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a real estate agent, right? Don't listen to me. You don't have to. Oh, man. Well, let me know if you guys have any questions. Right now, I'm going to share with you how is it that I was able to get a client of mine their 10K in concessions. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions. If you don't, I know a common question that I get while we're waiting for everything to load up here, and I can show you guys. One common question that I get, damn, it didn't want to do it there. A common question that I get, my bad, was should you wait to buy? That's a valid point. If you're ready, able, and willing, and you see the home that's already out there, try to strike a deal, right? A deal that works out for you and your benefit. And if it doesn't work out, then just wait. But I definitely think that it's important to put those. It's like, you're not going to make every shot. I love basketball, so you're not going to make every shot at the free throw line. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be Kyrie. Shout outs to Kyrie, by the way. Right? He makes a lot of his free throws, if you guys don't know. He's not going to make every single one every single time, but that's why I think this is the important piece, right? If you're in the market actively trying to look, and you're scared because all these different headlines, at least put your, just try to make the shot, right? Go out for what you want and see if it hits. And if it hits, great. That means you won. If it doesn't, great. To wait for the next one, right? This is a market where I would generally say do not rush. Actually slow down, because this is not a market you need to rush in it. But if that home is there, yeah, I would highly say go after it, because the likelihood of maybe that dream home or perfect home being in the market consistently for you may not be a thing. That's the only thing I was saying. I mean, the only other thing you can do is build, and yeah, we're not gonna get into that conversation right now. But here's how we were able to get my client over 10,000 worth of concessions, right, to pay off essentially their closing costs. They're advertising it literally everywhere. This isn't even a secret. At least not every home builder, at least new construction builder, is doing it. So existing homes, you probably are going to have to. No, you're not probably. You're going to have to negotiate a little bit more for those. But for new construction, they're literally throwing it at everybody. Hey, this is what we're offering. This is what we're doing. So you can either go in there and say, hey, you want concessions for this dollar amount to pay for all your closing costs. Personally, if you want to go ahead and write it off on the price of the home, just do the math to see how much of a difference is it actually going to make on your monthly mortgage. You'll be really quick to find out. 5,000 really doesn't make a dent in your, and when I say a dent, it doesn't even really shave off more than $50 off your mortgage payment. So what's really going to be more beneficial to you at this point in time and being, right? And this is, not necessarily what you should do. That I just definitely think that, if you want financial advice, speak with whoever's your financial person in your corner. But this is just common sense, right? Just running the numbers, making sure that the numbers is adding up. I like to look at it as, and this is how I'll tell my clients. So if they wanted to shave off, for instance, if they wanted to shave off 5,000, I literally put it in a calculator, show you what your monthly payment would be with shaving off 5,000, and I'll then leave it as is, right, without shaving off that 5,000, and just say, all right, how long is it going to take for you to get that $5,000 back? Right? If it's more than 7 to 10 years, chances are just take the concessions and deal with the price point, because most people do not stay in homes for more than 10 years. In fact, I know a lot of people who are like, yeah, in the next 7 years I'm selling after they buy. Like that's literally their plan. It's a temporary buy, I would say, just to kind of settle themselves and have a home and have an option to either keep it and rent it and then sell it, or do whatever it is that they want to do. But as you guys can see here, right, this is just one of the builders. They're literally offering up to 20,000. Jeez. Of course, there's fine print that you have to read within and you have to comply with. But come on now, 20,000. Woo. You take it how you please, man. And of course, all of these are have deadlines. So these incentives are all over. If you want to get connected to some of these incentives or what's going on in at least this local market here in Raleigh, I can connect you with that. If you want to know what's going on in different markets, just connect with me and I'll connect you to a real estate agent that is able to assist you and knows what's going on in that market specifically. Just go into the description, do all that good stuff. And here's another one. Right, and it's all over, right? These are only two that I was able to find online. Some of them, they don't even advertise it online. So you have to actually, go. If you see a new construction community, just drive through it. They may actually have, I shouldn't say should, as if I work for them. They may have like advertisement in the community in itself. So you probably won't find every single one online. So your best bet is to go to the community in itself. And if you do go to the community, just to see the area, don't speak to anyone. Don't start any conversations just quite yet. The only reason why I say that is because if you start the conversation and you don't have your agent with you, they they probably will take advantage of you. Let's just put it like that. They will probably take advantage of you, and they probably won't pay. You'll lose out on 2% essentially. It's free money essentially, how I look at it, but it's really not. But here's another one. This is M&I. I forgot. I want to say. I forgot what this builder is. The name of the builder exactly. But here they're offering you, right, on the rate in itself. You guys probably can't even see that. My bad. Here they're offering you a specific rate, right? It's pretty much high fives. Conventional fixed mortgage up to 24,000 in paid closing costs. All right. However, it's just for their townhomes. At least that qualifies for their townhome. They even have the FHA and VA loan options, which is good. So if you are scared about conventional, you can go to the FHA or VA. But if you were looking for a single family home specifically, you can get up to 15,000 of closing costs. So again, as you guys can see, they're not giving you this so much. They're not being generous on the rate, but they're being generous on the closing costs when it comes to a single family home. But those are just two things, right? Speaking of loans, I guess we can go ahead and touch upon some loans real quick. What is this? Give me 1 second. My bad. A note just popped up and I had to read through it. Let me go ahead and let's talk about mortgages, right? Because I think it's important, especially when you see things like this that says they're offering a conventional at a high fives for a rate, and then they also have VA and FHA. You're probably wondering at this point, well, which loan is going to be the better option? And so that's exactly what we're about to touch upon. Let's go ahead and compare these loans just so you can see how is it beneficial. And honestly, the big difference between every single one that you're going to see up here is PMI, I would say. PMI, the down payment, is the big one. So FHA and VA, well, FHA specifically, they have PMI for the life of the loan. I actually just had to break this down, so I'm going to break it down for you guys entirely so you guys know. Because I know there's a saying, well, not even saying, but assumption out there that, okay, you get 20% of equity in your home, your PMI falls off. That's not the case with FHA, so understand that if you want PMI to fall off the loan, you have to refinance. And of course, the refinancing is going to come with fees. So keep that in mind. If you are really worried and want no PMI at all, just go conventional. If you qualify for a VA, you can go there as well. USDA, I don't know if USDA does. I don't think they have PMI. I should have double checked this one, my bad. I'm actually going to double check it right now. Because I don't remember off the top of my head. No. Right, but the PMI is a big one. So no, USDA loans don't have it as well. So the only one that really does have it for the life of the loan is FHA. So keep that in mind. It does eat into your costs. So something to think about. And the only thing that I would say that's very favorable for the FHA is if you're in a situation where you don't have the greatest of the greatest credit score and you're still looking to put down a low down payment, then you could really look at your FHA. Right, so if you have great credit, then just go conventional because then that PMI falls off the loan in itself. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think it automatically happens. So, of course, you still have to tap the person on the shoulder and be like, hey, I'm at 20%. So, it actually states it right here. So, private mortgage insurance added to the payment with less than 20% down. So, you put 20% down on your payment, you won't even have PMI, which is going to help you with qualifying for the home in itself. With the USDA loan, it has to be in a rural area. So, yeah, that zero down looks great. Right? No PMI looks great, but it has to be specifically in a rural area. And it does have it does have income restrictions to it. Any questions on these loans? Anything? No questions? If no questions, then here I'll show you this. Which I kind of just showed you on the other one. This one's pointless because I was hoping that this one, yeah. So let's talk about the max seller concession. So again, this is part of the strategy. If you're going with any one of these loans, you gotta understand. At least your agent should know this. You gotta understand how much you can receive in concessions. The only thing I don't like that, okay, yeah, it states it right here. So the VA loan, man, shout outs to all the vets out there. Shout outs to everybody that has this. If you're not using your VA loan, oh my gosh, are you doing a disservice to yourself? A huge disservice. Because that loan is very, very powerful. I mean, we're talking about no PMI. This one says a credit score, but I know some lenders that don't even have a minimum credit score. But we're talking about no down payment, no PMI, no credit score minimum, right? You have unlimited seller's concessions, but of course only 4% can be utilized for closing costs. So you definitely want to prioritize that in itself. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful. If you're not using it, or you know someone that has this and they're not using it, they just need to get educated, I think. So make sure you bring them here, and we'll make sure to get them right. Especially if you don't have somebody in your corner to go ahead and do that. But make sure at the same time you guys are liking this video. Let me see what the likes are at. Let's see how you guys doing it. Okay. But make sure you bring them here, or just reach out to me personally if you need questions or have questions specifically and you don't want to drop it here, or even in the comments if you're on the replay about what loan should you specifically go to. Just reach out to me. I mean, just go into the description in itself, and that way we can go ahead and connect you and understand better what's going on in your circumstances and your scenario to know exactly how we can get you right. You feel me? But I'll open it up for questions right now while I'll go ahead and start loading up the next big beautiful bill because that is the talk of the town right now. Let me know what questions that you guys may have, if any. If you guys don't have any questions, then I'll just go roll right into the next thing. Because the beautiful bill does have some real estate stuff that is in alignment, but I would definitely say if you do have a tax strategy, then definitely consult with your CPA or your tax person, whoever it is that you're consulting with, to really understand how is it that you can take advantage of this if you were to purchase a home. Because there's some things in there that you can take advantage of as a homeowner. All right, and I'll just state what I saw here. This is on Investopedia. So mortgage insurance deduction, right? That's going to be helpful for those individuals. And I'm sharing this with you guys because some of you guys probably are on edge, but there are some benefits to purchasing a home and being a homeowner in terms of taxes. So, but again, consult with your tax person. That's not me. So. Low income housing provision could lead to more rental properties. So yeah, this is gonna hopefully bring more affordable homes. But I mean, with the way that these builders are building, it's construction costs that are keeping everything so elevated. So I don't really see this coming really for. It's just gonna. This is a hot take that I have. I generally think that the United States is going to become a renter's nation. Unfortunately. Because the way that things are leading right now, look, they're even talking about opportunity zones. So, opportunity zones, and they're just going to, Oh man. Oh well, but get in while you can, guys. I'll implore you. And maybe later I'll bring this video up and clip this part exactly where I stated that I think the United States is gonna become a renters nation more than anything. So SALT deductions could boost your housing market in some states, which we'll see. I think it's just gonna allow for more investments. It's gonna allow for people to bring in more income, which is gonna help everybody in the day. But that's essentially the three key points that I was able to grasp from the bill. Again, if you're trying to get into the housing market, then I highly look at that beautiful city. Woo! Phew, that was the background. That was my desktop background. That was nice. But yeah, that's all that I really have for you today. As you guys may know, yes, home sales are slowing down, but is that really a bad thing? Could be. But personally speaking, I'm gonna look at things as how can I take advantage of certain situations, even if things may look bad, be bad, and that's how I think that would be advantageous to you if you were to look at it as well. Does it mean to go rush out there? No. I said it all throughout the stream. Take it easy, slow it down, my friend, because this is not a market where you really have to speed it up, go fast. So just because you're gonna see all these different people saying what's going on in the market, it doesn't mean that that's what's going on in your market. So definitely understand what's going on in your market specifically. If you're planning to or need help with relocating to whatever market that you're trying to relocate to, again, click the link in the description. That way you can get connected to an agent. If you're looking to relocate to North Carolina specifically, I got you. I got you. But other than that, I never really promote my IG just because I don't really use it. But follow me on IG. I think it's my name literally. So if you put Ronnie Polynice, you should be able to find it. But let me know what questions you guys have in the comments at least, because a lot of you guys are shy right now for whatever reason. You're not dropping your questions live here. So if you guys have questions later, leave it on the comments, leave it in the replay. Do hashtag replay just so I can shout you out and answer your question next time that I am live. I may go live next week, next Wednesday. Just a heads up, because I did see some things that I do want to bring to your attention. At least there's one market specifically in Florida that I want to talk about, because they're claiming that that's the worst market in America right now. But with all that being said, y'all stay safe, y'all be blessed, and enjoy.